And with this particular video, I want to talk about self-development as the only true universal moral compass. Self-development is the only true universal moral compass. Now, let me tell you why I say that. For one, morality is relative. I said this before, based upon an individual's upbringing, where they grew up in the world, their worldview, the first type of authority that had influence over their consciousness, the amount of knowledge that they possess usually determines what we call morality for an individual. I went in on this one deeply. Some people would like to say that you can be righteous without being conscious, or that righteousness is more important than being conscious. And that's not true, because your righteousness is relative to your consciousness. America locked up a lot of people for marijuana. And everybody supported these people getting locked up for selling weed. Or it's a drug, it's bad for you, it's a narcotic, it makes you lazy, whatever. Everybody supported that. But more research was done on marijuana, and it had people question, well, is that right? Once they start getting more knowledge and seeing that, well, maybe it can heal cancer, and maybe it's good for arthritis, or good for pain, or good for glaucoma. It helps cancer patients. So then they say, wait a minute. After we got more knowledge, what we thought was right is now wrong. So now they legalize marijuana. Everybody supports it. Our perspective changed. And now our concept of righteousness is not the same. We don't necessarily look at people that smoke weed like drug addicts as a collective society in America. They've legalized it in certain places, and you can get a medical license, and people growing it, and it's becoming a booming business. Our perspective has changed on it. So our idea of what was right changed when we gained more knowledge. Now, some people want to talk about an unchanging right, and they're talking about the legal system. And you realize that the legal system has relative morality. Something can be legal in one place and totally illegal in another place. In America, in the United States, we don't even have to talk about the world, how different cultural frameworks permit for certain things and find other things as forbidden on a global level. But even in America, the laws change depending on where you're at, depending on what community, what society, what state, what city, what municipality, what county you live in. Hell, prostitution is legal in Las Vegas. And even after prosecuted or criminalized, then you have a lawyer that can argue what is right and what is wrong, as though it is not obvious, as though it's questionable, as though it is relative to the situation. And the whole job of a lawyer is to determine the relativity of the situation, to expose how it may not have been so wrong, or as wrong as you thought, or there may have been no wrong. So the legal system doesn't really give us a sense of rightness, because people can unjustly enforce laws and make up laws that are against the people, and make up laws that don't make any sense, and make up laws based upon their own personal bias, or their own personal belief system, or their own personal religions, ideology, or their own personal agenda. So they don't give us laws, the legal system. So let's talk about religion. The legal system doesn't give us a real sense of morality. It's very abstract. It's obscure, depending on where you at, how good of a lawyer you got, how the police feel that day, what area you in, what district you in. So we can't really find morality there. So let's talk about religion, because some people want to say it's in the Torah. Let's talk about Christianity, the Bible, the Quran. But then that's relative to your consciousness. Because as you begin to study the Bible, you start finding out that, wait, hold up, that the Sabbath is Saturday and not Sunday. And a lot of things you thought was right in Christianity, the deeper you study, when you become a Hebrew Israelite, or you become a Seventh-day Adventist, or you become a Jehovah's Witness, and you just start getting deeper and deeper, and you start realizing that, wait a minute, what I thought was right when I was a neophyte, what I thought was right when I came in the door as a Christian, the more I study, I find out these things are wrong, that Christmas has nothing to do with it. Christmas was a pagan holiday. And I found out that Jesus wasn't the white man that was put on the picture. You start finding that out, that, hey, wait a minute, what I thought was right was wrong as I became more conscious and gained more knowledge. So the more conscious you become, the more your reality will change. The more your situation, your perspective will change. The way you see things will change. So we can't really say it's religious, because if you read the Bible more and read the Quran more, it'll change. If you read and you say, well, hell, I got my righteousness for the Quran, and then you start reading the Hadiths, and then you start reading the Sunnahs, and you just start saying, well, hold up, wait a minute now, maybe it's even deeper. What I thought when I took my Shahada, everything that I was doing is not necessarily right. And then you have people who tend more to try to be more righteous in these religions, and they become more zealous, and they're looked at as zealots and looked at as extremists, because they're just trying to really find the right in them, and they're going to the furthest extent that they possibly can to find right in them. But they still will find that your righteousness will be relative to your consciousness. And the more you study, the more your perspective can be changed and will be changed on a lot of things. So many areas. So we can't find it in religion. We can't find it in law. And we cannot even find it necessarily in our own cultural and traditional systems. So where do we find this universal moral compass from? Self-development. For you to develop as a person, there is morals that you have to develop. Just like if you're trying to get from Georgia to New York, there is a map and there's a road you must follow to get to that destination. There's a few different paths you can go, but it's only one direction you can go in. So if you want to develop yourself to become a certain type of person, you want to be successful, you want to become enlightened, then that self-development requires you to abstain from this, to fast from this, to be steady about this, to have discipline in these areas, in these manners, to be vigilant in these areas, to be auspicious. If you want to develop, if you want to become a better person. And it's universal, because each one of us, no matter what our religious practices are, our spiritualities, or any of those things, we all want to become a better person. We all want to become better people. And if we're in negative situations in our lives, then the only way we're going to get out of them is by becoming better. And for us to become better, there's a system, guidelines, restrictions that we must follow to become better in those ways, to achieve those goals. Any goal worth achieving will transform the individual who seeks to achieve it. It's like if you want to be a boxer, you want to win and you want to get in the ring and you want to box. then you're going to have to perfect yourself. You're going to have to know when to eat. You're going to have to know when to have sex. You're going to have to know when to sleep. You're going to have to know when to go in the gym. You're going to have to know what to eat. You have a moral system. Now, since everybody's path is different, no one can really be judged in the same way. We talk about the myotic and weighing your heart on the scale. Well, where everybody at is relative. How they grew up, what they went through. Some people have been born in the ultimate negative situation. So those people are not necessarily going to be judged exactly the way people are who are born in a different situation. They're going to be judged based on how they developed out of that situation. And when I say judge, not judged by a mystery God, but judged by the measure of success that they want to achieve in life. Because the success they want requires something different from them based upon the situation that they came out of. And to each, something different is required of that person. And if they want to get out of that situation, there will be a moral system. Some things that they must do and some things that they cannot do. Self-development is the only true universal moral compass. And see, self-development has nothing to do with the rabbi or the priest or the judge. One has to look at their own selves and say, is what I'm doing getting me to where it is that I want to be in life? Is where I'm going to be my highest vision of who I am and what I represent in the course of action that I'm taking? And when they look at themselves and weigh themselves against that, then a moral system will come out of nowhere and it'll be like, no, you're going to have to stop doing that. You're going to have to change your perspective on that. If you want to get here, you can't keep doing that. You're going to have to sacrifice that. You're going to have to cut that off. If you want to do this, you can't keep messing with them. If you're serious about this, you can no longer do that. And if you start looking at people that are actually successful, you see some things in there. And successful means that they can go to sleep at night with their prosperity, with their abundance. Successful means they're not rich and depressed. They're not wealthy and depressed. It means they're happy and wealthy and wise and healthy. And if you see those that are happy, wealthy, and wise, and what they have in common, you'll find some self-development traits. You'll find some characteristics. You'll find kindness. You'll find forgiveness. You'll find compassion. You'll find giving. You'll find a whole bunch of positive things. If you look at people that are where you want to go, and you look at what do they have in them to keep going, to push forward, to get out of the situation you may want to get out of. And you'll find some things that they all have in common. You'll find that. And so you'll have to develop yourself. And some things you think it's a matter of you going to hell or going to heaven. If you don't do this, you're going to go to hell. If you do this, you're going to go to heaven. Heaven is here on earth. Just like the Moorish Holy Quran says, we create our own heaven. Heaven and hell is on earth. Hell is where you don't want to be at. Hell is the opposite of your highest vision, and heaven is the manifestation of what you desire to experience on this earth. So it's not about going to a spooky heaven or a spooky hell based on these do's and these don'ts. It's about manifesting the divine reality of who you are here on earth. And what are you going to have to do that? And what are you going to have to not do to do that? That's your morality system. What are you going to have to give up? And it's not compared to anyone else. You have to look at yourself and say, you know what? I can't keep doing this, or I need to do more of that. That's just what it is. And I'm going to have the discipline in order to do that. And it's no way being 100% negative are you going to get to a positive result that you can sustain. Oh yeah, you might win the lotto. You might find a break. Opportunity may knock on your door, but to have sustained holistic well-beingness, you're going to have to really transform as a being to live in that, to be that. That is your frequency. That is your vibration that you live in and as. In order to do that, you're going to have to really look at yourself. And each individual have to look at themselves from where they're at. And we're all in different situations. We're all in different circumstances. But we can rise above them situations and circumstances no matter where we're at. If we could only choose true self-development and be honest and evaluate ourselves based on how we need to develop and have the discipline and the determination to make those needed changes and to stick to those regimens, we'll get to where it is that we want to go. And as we become that, we will have that anointing. We'll have that glow on us. That's our blessing. That's how we bless ourselves in this very life. This is King Noble Black Supremacy. Join my website, www.kingnobleuncensored.com.